Hey, sweet monkeys in beds with bunkies. What? I want to start today with a little bit of a confession. And it might be one that you're a little bit surprised to hear, especially from a Christian YouTuber like myself. So I hope you're sitting down. Are you sitting? Are you sitting? But are you sitting? I want to start by letting you know that there have been times in my life where I have doubted my salvation. There have been times in my life where I have doubted the existence of God. No, John, say it ain't so. It's so. So today, in part 2 of our series, Overwhelming Obstacles, we're going to be talking about doubt. Now, this is an obstacle that I would say most, in fact, probably all Christians face. And I wanted to start off with that confession because doubt, just like any other struggle, will try and lie to us and make us believe that we're the only ones. And so I wanted to start today by letting you know that if you are struggling with doubt, you are not alone. But today we are going to talk about how we can begin to battle that doubt and how we can possibly begin to get over or get through this obstacle. And I want to read for you all from John chapter 20. Our passage starts in verse 24 where it says, "Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, 'We have seen the Lord.' But he said to them, 'Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe.' A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, 'Peace be with you.' Then he said to Thomas, 'Put your finger here. See my hands? Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe.' And Thomas said to him, 'My Lord and my God.'" So Thomas is like the poster child for doubt, right? I mean, it's kind of harsh because of this one moment of doubt. He's given this nickname that's gonna follow him the rest of his life. I mean, if that was true for all of us, I would still be called like John the bedwetter. But something I find truly interesting about this story is that Thomas, he was one of Jesus's 12 disciples. This means that he would have traveled around with Jesus and he would have seen Jesus do all of these miraculous things. And he also would have heard Jesus, who says several times throughout the Gospels that he is going to be killed and rise on the third day. But even though he has heard this promise time and time again, Thomas still doubts. Why? You see, just like faith runs away, doubt creeps in when we listen to our circumstances over God. But doubt is defeated when we trust what God says above our circumstances. Thomas has heard the promises of God, but instead of trusting what Jesus said, he decides to trust in what the soldiers did. This is something that we do all the time. Instead of trusting what God has told us, we focus on what others are doing to us. And so doubt begins to creep in. And how does Thomas respond to this doubt? The brother wants proof. He's asking for hard and fast evidence. Let me put my finger where the nails were. Let me put my hand in his side. Once I have my evidence, then I'll believe. And when we doubt, oftentimes we think, if only I could get all my questions answered, or if only I could get proof that Jesus or God was real, then I could believe. And Thomas feels the exact same way here. What's interesting, though, is that when Jesus shows up, Thomas immediately says, "My Lord and my God." But what didn't happen here? It looks to me like Thomas did not get the evidence he was looking for, and yet his doubt was still defeated. And that's because doubt is not defeated when we get all our questions answered or when we get enough evidence. Doubt is defeated when we have an encounter with the resurrected Jesus. Now, for Thomas, this happened quite literally. But for us, this happens in prayer, in study of his word, and in community by the power of his Holy Spirit. And when we encounter Jesus, doubt flees. When we find ourselves in his presence, Getting all my questions answered doesn't seem to matter much anymore. His mercy and the promise of his love is all the evidence I need. That's why if we're struggling with doubt, we have to keep placing ourselves in places and situations where Jesus shows up. Because when Jesus shows up, doubt rolls out. And Jesus finishes up with Thomas by saying in verse 29, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." And this really connects with our last series, More Than a Feeling. You see, just like faith is not a feeling, it's a choice. Doubt is also a choice. It's a choice when we choose to listen to the world over listening to Jesus. It's a choice we make when we put our hope in hard evidence rather than God's presence. Just like we can choose faith, we can also choose doubt. And this is extremely convicting, because it means that if we're struggling with doubt, we can no longer wallow in self-pity as though doubt's just attacking me and I'm helpless to fight it. We are not helpless in the fight against doubt. We can't always make those thoughts go away, but we can begin to take those thoughts captive. We won't always be able to see Jesus in our lives, but we can always choose to believe Jesus in our lives. Hey team, thank you all for watching another 7-minute sermon. I'm really enjoying this series, Overwhelming Obstacles. I hope you are too. Comment down below and let me know if you are. As always, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Just subscribe to the darn channel, please. But more than that, I hope you all have a great weekend or weekday or whenever you're watching this. I love you all. Keep being awesome.